Chapter 1. As Princess Isabella wandered through the halls of the castle, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. She was tired of the endless lessons on etiquette, the constant pressure to be perfect, and the suffocating rules that governed her every move. She longed for adventure and freedom, a life beyond the walls of the palace. One day, as she was walking by the east wing of the castle, she noticed a strange old book on a dusty shelf. She opened it, and to her surprise, she discovered a secret passage. It was a narrow, dimly lit tunnel that wound its way deep beneath the castle, leading who knew where. Isabella couldn't resist the temptation. She grabbed a torch and stepped into the passage. The cool, damp air enveloped her, and the sound of her footsteps echoed through the tunnels. As she walked further and further into the darkness, she felt a thrill of excitement mixed with fear. Suddenly, she heard a noise behind her. She spun around, but there was nothing there. She shrugged it off and kept walking, but the noise persisted, growing louder and more persistent. She quickened her pace, but so did the sound. Finally, she broke into a run, her heart pounding with fear. Just as she was about to give up hope, the passage opened up into a vast underground cavern. In the center of the cavern was a small pool of crystal clear water, surrounded by glowing mushrooms and strange exotic plants. And there, sitting on a rock by the pool, was a wise old wizard. The wizard smiled at Isabella and beckoned her closer. "Welcome, young princess," he said. "You have stumbled upon a place of great power and magic. What brings you here?" Isabella was speechless, but the wizard seemed to read her thoughts. "Ah, I see," he said. "You seek adventure and freedom, and you feel trapped by the life that has been chosen for you. You are not alone, my dear. Many young people feel the same way. But be warned, the path you have chosen is not an easy one. There will be danger and hardships along the way. Are you sure you are ready for this?" Isabella hesitated for a moment, but then she thought of the excitement and joy she had felt so far. "Yes," she said firmly, "I am ready." The wizard smiled again. "Very well then. But remember, the journey you are embarking on is not one that can be taken lightly. You must be brave, strong, and determined if you wish to succeed. Good luck, Princess Isabella." With that, the wizard disappeared in a puff of smoke, and Isabella was left alone in the cavern. She knew that her life would never be the same again. The secret passage had opened up a world of possibilities, and she was determined to explore it to the fullest. Chapter 2. After Princess Isabella left the underground cavern, she found herself in a dense forest that she had never seen before. She had never ventured outside the castle walls, and the forest seemed vast and unfamiliar. Nevertheless, she continued to walk, hoping to find her way back to the castle or stumble upon something interesting. As she walked, the trees grew thicker and the shadows deepened. The sunlight filtering through the leaves turned to dappled shade, and she began to feel a sense of unease. The forest was silent, except for the rustling of leaves and the occasional snap of a twig. As she walked, Princess Isabella began to realize that she was lost. She had no idea which way to turn or how to find her way back. She had no food or water, and night was fast approaching. Fear began to grip her heart, and she wondered if she would ever make it out of the forest alive. As darkness fell, Princess Isabella stumbled upon a clearing in the forest. In the center of the clearing was a small, run-down cottage, its roof sagging and its walls covered in moss. A light was flickering in the window, and Isabella wondered if someone was inside. She approached the cottage and knocked on the door. To her surprise, an old woman answered. She was hunched over and wrinkled, with a kindly face and twinkling eyes. "Please, ma'am," said Princess Isabella. "I am lost in the woods and have nowhere to go. Can you help me?" The old woman smiled and welcomed her inside. She gave her a warm meal and a comfortable bed to sleep in. In the morning, Princess Isabella awoke, feeling refreshed and ready to continue her journey. The old woman gave her directions and wished her good luck. Princess Isabella set out once again, feeling grateful for the kindness of strangers. She may have been lost in the woods, but she knew that she would find her way eventually. She had a new sense of purpose and determination, and she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 3. Princess Isabella continued her journey through the forest, following the old woman's directions. The path wound its way through the trees, and she found herself encountering other travelers along the way. At first, Princess Isabella was wary of these strangers. She had been taught to be cautious of those she did not know, especially in unfamiliar surroundings. But as she interacted with these travelers, she realized that they were kind and generous, willing to share their food, water, and stories with her. One elderly couple invited her to rest with them in the shade and shared their bread and cheese with her. A group of young merchants traveling to a nearby town gave her a ride on their wagon and told her tales of their adventures. A shepherd offered her a cup of fresh milk from his goats and gave her advice on how to navigate through the forest. Through these encounters, Princess Isabella learned that there were good people in the world and that kindness could be found in the most unexpected places. She was grateful for the generosity of these strangers, and she began to see the world in a new light. As she continued her journey, Princess Isabella knew that she would always remember the kindness of these strangers, and she promised herself that she would repay their generosity by being kind to others in need, just as they had been kind to her. Finally, after several days of traveling through the forest, Princess Isabella saw the towers of her castle rising in the distance. She quickened her pace, eager to return home and tell her family of her adventures. As she entered the castle gates, Princess Isabella felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had ventured beyond the castle walls and had discovered a world of kindness and generosity that she had never known before. And she knew that she would always cherish the memories of her journey through the forest and the kindness of the strangers she had met along the way. Chapter 4. As Princess Isabella settled back into life at the castle, she found herself haunted by a persistent feeling that she was not quite complete. She had always known that she was adopted, but she had never felt the need to question her past. Now, however, she could not shake the feeling that there was something missing. One day, as she was wandering through the castle gardens, she came across a hidden room. It was locked, but something drew her to it, and she found herself picking the lock with ease. Inside, she discovered a dusty old book, filled with letters and documents that hinted at a hidden past. As she read through the pages, Princess Isabella was shocked to discover the truth about her past. She was not a princess at all, but the daughter of a humble farmer who had died when she was young. Her adoptive parents had taken her in and raised her as their own, shielding her from the truth of her humble origins. At first, Princess Isabella was devastated by this revelation. She had always believed herself to be destined for greatness, and now that illusion was shattered. But as she thought more about her past, she realized that her humble origins were not a weakness, but a strength. She had overcome great odds to become the person she was today, and that was something to be proud of. With this newfound sense of purpose, Princess Isabella set out to discover more about her past. She traveled to her birthplace, meeting with old friends and family members who shared stories about her parents and their simple way of life. She discovered that her father had been a respected member of the community, known for his honesty and kindness, and that her mother had been a talented weaver. Through these stories, Princess Isabella came to realize that her past was not something to be ashamed of, but something to embrace. She may not have been born a princess, but she had the courage, intelligence, and heart of one. And that was all that mattered. As she returned to the castle, Princess Isabella felt a sense of peace and contentment that she had never felt before. She knew that she would always be grateful for the truth about her past, and that it would guide her in all of her future endeavors. Chapter 5. Now that Princess Isabella knew the truth about her past, she felt like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She was no longer haunted by a sense of incompleteness, and she felt more sure of herself than ever before. But despite this newfound confidence, she still struggled with doubts and insecurities from time to time. One day, as she was walking through the castle gardens, she came across a young girl who was struggling to carry a heavy basket of apples. Princess Isabella offered to help, and the girl gratefully accepted. As they walked together, the girl asked Princess Isabella about her life at the castle, and the princess found herself opening up to the young girl in a way that she rarely did with others. As they talked, Princess Isabella realized that the young girl had many of the same struggles and doubts that she did. She felt like she was always trying to live up to everyone's expectations, and she worried that she would never be good enough. The young girl confided that she felt the same way, and that she often felt like she was invisible to others. This conversation stayed with Princess Isabella long after the young girl had left. She realized that despite her privileged life as a princess, she still struggled with the same inner demons as everyone else. She began to see that her past and her position did not define her, and that it was up to her to create her own destiny. With this newfound insight, Princess Isabella began to look at her life and her struggles in a new light. She started to see her inner struggles as a part of her journey, rather than as a weakness to be hidden. She began to open up to others more, and to share her own struggles in the hopes of helping them feel less alone. As she did so, Princess Isabella discovered that she had a gift for helping others. She started to spend more time in the village, working with those in need and listening to their stories. She realized that by helping others, she was also helping herself. And in doing so, she became a true princess, not just in title, but in spirit. And so, Princess Isabella continued to struggle with doubts and insecurities from time to time. But she knew that these struggles were a part of her journey, and that by facing them head-on, she could help herself and others to find their own inner strength. Chapter 6. Princess Isabella had been living a life of comfort and privilege in the castle for as long as she could remember. But when news came that her beloved father, the king, had fallen ill, everything changed. The only known cure for his illness was a rare flower that grew in a distant land, and Princess Isabella knew that she had to embark on a dangerous journey to find it. She gathered her courage and set out on the journey, accompanied by a small band of loyal knights. The journey was treacherous, with dangerous terrain, wild beasts, and unpredictable weather. Princess Isabella had never been so far from the safety of the castle, and she soon discovered that her journey was much more difficult than she had ever imagined. As the days turned into weeks, the group encountered a series of challenges that tested their limits. They had to cross a raging river, climb a treacherous mountain, and navigate through a dense jungle filled with dangerous predators. Despite the odds, Princess Isabella remained determined to find the rare flower that would save her father's life. Along the way, she formed a deep bond with her fellow travelers. They shared stories and laughed together, and she found herself relying on their strength and support more than ever before. They became like a family to her, and she knew that she could not have made the journey alone. Finally, after many grueling weeks, they reached the land where the rare flower grew. But their quest was not yet over. The flower was guarded by a powerful sorceress who demanded that Princess Isabella face a series of tests to prove her worthiness. With the help of her knights, Princess Isabella passed the tests and was granted the rare flower. She and her companions set out on the journey back to the castle, their spirits lifted by the success of their quest. When they returned, Princess Isabella was able to administer the cure to her father, and he soon recovered from his illness. She was hailed as a hero throughout the land, and her journey had taught her that she was capable of much more than she had ever imagined. From that day forward, Princess Isabella was known not just as a princess, but as a brave and determined adventurer who had faced great challenges and emerged victorious. Chapter 7. After a long and perilous journey, Princess Isabella and her companions finally returned to the safety of the castle. The kingdom had been anxiously awaiting their return, and the castle gates were open wide to welcome them home. As soon as she stepped inside, Princess Isabella was greeted with hugs and cheers from her family and friends. They had been so worried about her, and they were overjoyed to see her safe and sound. But even as she celebrated her return, Princess Isabella felt a sense of unease. The journey had changed her in ways she couldn't quite understand, and she found it hard to adjust to the comfortable life of the castle. She spent her days in quiet reflection, trying to make sense of her feelings. She realized that the journey had taught her about her own strength and resilience, and that she no longer wanted to be defined solely by her status as a princess. She started to seek out new experiences and challenges, pushing herself to try new things and explore the world beyond the castle walls. She discovered a love for art and music, and began to spend more time with the common people of the kingdom, learning about their lives and struggles. Despite the disapproval of some of the more traditional members of the royal court, Princess Isabella remained true to herself and continued to pursue her passions with determination and courage. Over time, she became a beloved and respected leader in her own right, known for her wisdom, compassion, and dedication to the people of the kingdom. She never forgot the lessons she had learned on her dangerous journey, and she remained grateful for the companions who had supported her along the way. As she looked out over the kingdom from the castle walls, Princess Isabella knew that she was home at last, in a place where she could be true to herself and make a difference in the world. The end.